Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are plunging into a really fascinating shift happening right at the very top of the tech world.
That's right. The big news we're unpacking is Microsoft, recently overtaking Apple, became the world's most valuable company again by market cap.
And we've got, well, quite a stack of sources here, articles, analysis, various reports that really try to pull back the curtain on exactly how this happened.
Yeah, our mission really is to dive into these sources, pull out the critical insights, and understand the forces they point to, particularly things like AI and cloud computing.
See what's driving this monumental change.
Or what it all means, yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So, the headline event is Microsoft reclaiming that top spot. And the sources didn't just note they surpassed Apple. They also pointed out they moved past Nvidia in this shift.
Right, and the scale of it is pretty striking. The sources give us the numbers. Microsoft's peak market cap hitting about $3.23 trillion.
While Apple's dipped slightly.
Yeah, down to $3.17 trillion during this specific period. So, a pretty clear gap opening up there.
And the immediate catalyst, according to these sources,
Hmm.
it seems to be Microsoft's latest financial result.
Definitely. Their Q3 FY25 earnings report, that's the third quarter for their fiscal year 2025, ending March 31st. It was just incredibly strong.
Strong how? Like beating expectations.
Oh, yeah. The analysis we read highlighted just how much they exceeded market expectations. Total revenue came in at $70.066 billion.
Which is up, what, 12% year over year?
Exactly. And the market was expecting closer to $68.42 billion. So a solid beat.
And the bottom line, net income.
Massive, $25.824 billion. That's an 18% jump. Just really strong numbers all around.
But with numbers like that, the obvious question our sources tackle is what is driving it? And they seem pretty clear. It's the cloud.
Unmistakably. Their intelligent cloud segment, its revenue reached $26.8 billion, showing robust growth, about 21%.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, and this is a key insight from our sources.
Right.
Within that segment, the growth rate for Azure and other cloud services wasn't just strong at 33% in Q3.
It actually accelerated.
Right. It sped up from the 31% growth they saw in the previous quarter. That's huge, shows real momentum building.
And crucially, the sources highlighted Microsoft's own confidence. They pointed to their positive forecast for Azure,
What are they
expecting growth to accelerate even further to maybe 34 or 35% in the next quarter. That's, a very strong signal to the market.
So how do the sources connect that booming cloud growth back to AI? Is it just happening in parallel, or is there a direct link?
Oh, they make a very direct link. The analysis suggests Microsoft's early, pretty significant investments in AI infrastructure, they're now really starting to yield tangible results.
And CEO Nadell is quoted on this.
Explicitly cited in the sources saying exactly that. Basically, the AI bet is paying off.
And their partnership with OpenAI, that must play a role too, right? The sources mentioned that.
Absolutely. Remember that initial $1 billion investment started way back in 2019? The sources note that continued commitment and how it really strengthens Microsoft's position in generative AI.
Services offered through the cloud, presumably.
Exactly. It's not just theoretical potential anymore. The sources detail how integrating AI features like Copilot directly into core products.
Like Office, Windows.
Office, Windows, Azure itself.
Hmm.
It's enhancing the user experience, sure, but maybe more importantly for the market cap, it's creating new revenue streams.
Tied to actual AI consumption on their platform.
Precisely.
Okay, so that's the picture the sources paint for Microsoft. Incredible, accelerating growth, really driven by cloud and AI integration. What did these same sources tell us about the situation over at Apple during this period? Kind of the other side of the coin.
Right. Well, while Microsoft's engines were, firing on all cylinders, Apple faced several near-term challenges. That's according to the analysis we reviewed.
Such as?
Well, they mentioned concerns about iPhone sales, particularly noting some weakness in the really crucial Chinese market.
Mm-hmm. And anything specific about the phones themselves?
There were also worries cited regarding the performance or maybe the reception of the iPhone 15 specifically. The sources suggested that weighed on sentiment a bit.
Okay. And market perception? Any other flags?
Yeah, the reports included the detail about recent downgrades by rating agencies, which, certainly didn't help Apple standing in the market right at that moment.
And the sources put a number on this contrast too, didn't they? While Microsoft was gaining.
Yeah, while Microsoft was adding value, Apple's market cap had actually shrunk by approximately $162 billion in 2024, up to that point the sources were looking at.
Wow, that's a pretty stark difference.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources also discuss the broader market context, which sort of reinforces this trend, specifically the huge optimism around AI's potential.
Right, there's a high consensus among investors right now, the sources stated, that this AI revolution is, well, real. And it promises massive potential for efficiency, for growth across all sorts of industries.
And the areas investors are focusing on, the sources highlight things like cloud data centers.
Makes sense. Powering the AI.
High-end chips, obviously crucial, and robotics as well.
Okay. Now, the sources also touched on geopolitics, but neutrally. How did that fit in?
Yeah, they noted that global trade tensions, new tariff policies, they have caused some concern and sluggishness in certain markets. They use the Malaysian tech sector as an example.
Mentioning things like Forex issues, investor caution there.
Exactly. But importantly, they contrast this by pointing out that these broader tensions haven't really dampened the enthusiasm for the major AI players, like Microsoft.
Interesting. So the AI focus cuts through some of the noise.
It seems so. The analysis even noted better performance from some specific companies within Malaysia. Those focused domestically or maybe involved in supercomputer-related projects, like Yotil Power was mentioned. They stood out against the general tech market struggles there.
So it shows where that specific AI investment focus is really driving things, even amidst broader concerns.
Precisely.
Were there any other contributing factors mentioned in the sources, beyond cloud, AI, and Apple's challenges?
Yes. Microsoft's stock buyback program was also mentioned.
Ah, right. Did they give a figure?
They did. Bought back a specific amount in Q3, $13.87 billion. And this is seen in the sources as, another way to boost confidence and improve per-share earnings alongside the core business performance.
Okay. And what about analysts? Did the sources include any specific takes?
Yes. There was a notable view included from D.A. Davidson analyst Gil Luria.
And what was his take?
He cited making a pretty strong claim, actually, stating that Microsoft surpassing Apple was, quote, inevitable.
Inevitable. Why?
According to the sources, he attributed this confidence to Microsoft's faster growth trajectory, which we've discussed, and crucially, their greater potential benefit from the generative AI revolution compared to Apple. He saw them as better positioned.
Interesting perspective. And finally, the sources provide some historical context, right? This isn't the first time this has happened.
No, not at all, and that's always valuable context here. The reports remind us that Microsoft and Apple have frequently traded the title of the world's most valuable company.
Especially in recent years. Mentioned specific times like 2021, 2020, even back in 2018.
Yeah, and they even note that Google, Alphabet, briefly held the top spot back in 2016. So it really highlights just how dynamic the leadership at the very, very apex of the tech world truly is.
Constantly shifting based on current market drivers and, well, company performance.
Exactly.
So, okay, let's try and pull this all together. What does this all mean? What are the key insights from our sources?
Well, the analysis points squarely to Microsoft's really strong financial performance, especially that accelerating growth in their Azure cloud business.
Which is directly fueled by their significant AI investments and that deep integration we talked about.
Right. And this contrasts pretty sharply with the specific near-term market and product concerns highlighted regarding Apple in these sources.
So what this deep dive really shows you, our listener, is just how quickly these forces of innovation, particularly AI integrated into core services like the cloud, can dramatically reshape the competitive landscape, even for the world's absolute largest companies.
Yeah, it clearly highlights where the market sees the most significant potential for growth and, frankly, future value right now.
Okay, so given that history, the sources reminding us how these tech giants trade the top spot, and the intense focus these sources placed on the AI revolution as the primary driver of Microsoft's current success. Here's a final thought for you to consider, and this is based only on the material we covered today.
What do you think could be the next major technological wave or maybe market shift? It could be unrelated to AI, could build on it. What could challenge or perhaps even further confirm this leadership position in the years to come?